So apparently Joe Rogan has the most popular podcast on Spotify, and he's repeatedly spread COVID misinformation and invited guests on to do the same.
Went from Walter Cronkite, basically, to this guy, Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it. He believes in dragons? He believes in dragons.
Did you triple force that?
Yes, I did. And he also thinks that dragons, like, I guess, like dinosaur-y type of animals, roamed the earth when people did.
Worried about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us, and he won, and this is... And Joe Rogan believes in dragons!
Imagine Joe Rogan just doing his thing, drinking elk meat shakes, lifting weights, and staying out of drama, when suddenly The View couldn't keep his name out of their mouths. Now he's hitting them with a massive $100 million defamation lawsuit. It's so big, it feels like it should come with its own UFC fight night. Whoopi looks like she's instantly regretting every word. Sunny's nervously fixing her makeup. And Joy just seems confused, like someone hit pause on her thoughts. Is this a lawsuit or a wild reality show crossover? Either way, it's happening. Joe was off in his own world, maybe in a deep jungle trip or a workout session, when he finally had enough. Years of being a target, and now he's firing back.
That's why people like our show, because they know that we are checked by ABC News. But
We're checked by everybody.
Yeah, I mean, if we're wrong, we have, the legal note here.
Legal?
No, I don't know. Hey, this is the most important part. This is right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. So she by saying we should trust them because they're double checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest statement. Like you didn't listen to what I said.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to what the wildlife biologist, and that's only a part of what he said.
I can't believe
the other
Joy
part of what he
Behar
said
didn't
was
weigh.
there was something before that where he was explaining encounters with giant
This whole situation with Joe Rogan and The View has officially gotten out of control. For years, Rogan has been the target of jokes, side comments, and wild accusations from the hosts of The View. They've treated him like a punchline, throwing around opinions as if they were facts, all while sipping their coffee and pretending to know everything about politics, science, and media. But now Joe Rogan has had enough. He's not laughing anymore, he's suing them for $100 million for defamation. And let's just say, it's about to get very real. The View has built a reputation for being a place where bold opinions fly freely, but sometimes those takes are way off the mark. It's like a daily drama where 5 hosts sit around a table, over-talking each other, turning rumors into fact, and pushing whatever narrative they feel in the moment. They constantly bring on a single conservative guest, then talk over her or shut her down completely. Joe pointed this out himself. He said the show lives in its own echo chamber, where every other opinion is dismissed. They didn't invite Joe on their show. He didn't crash their studio, send tweets, or even hint at beef. But somehow he became their favorite target. They threw shade at him like he was some cartoon villain, accusing him of being dangerous, spreading misinformation, and basically being responsible for all the world's problems except bad weather. Joy Behar rolled her eyes so hard you'd think she saw a ghost. Whoopi Goldberg delivered one of her serious monologues, trying to sound wise while ignoring her own long list of contradictions. And then there's
Joe Rogan here. Did you see Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons, I guess? According to Joy Behar, he changed his X profile. Did you see this?
I did see that.
It now just simply says dragon believer. He had talked about dragons on the show. It's, the thing of it is, you take anything out of context and you can make fun of it and mock it. And so, let's do that. It goes without saying. Joe Rogan.
Sunny Hostin, who always manages to sound like she just finished a crash course in law 5 minutes before airtime. Joe's response? He dropped a lawsuit on them. Not a little complaint, not a public clapback, but a full-blown $100 million legal bomb. He's accusing them of defamation, saying they crossed a line when they made statements that could hurt his reputation, cost him brand deals, and damage his entire media empire. And when you think about it, he's not wrong. His Spotify deal is worth millions. His podcast is one of the most listened to in the world. He's not just some guy ranting in a basement. He's built a platform with real influence and real stakes. Now let's be clear. Joe Rogan is used to being mocked. People have made fun of everything from his voice to his love of hunting and talking about aliens. But this is different. The claims they made weren't lighthearted jokes. They were serious. Accusations said on national television with no real proof. And Joe's team came prepared. They didn't walk in empty-handed. They've got videos, transcripts, and side-by-side breakdowns showing exactly what was said and why it's wrong. The View's hosts treated their opinions like truth bombs, not realizing those words could have legal consequences. Just because you're on daytime TV doesn't mean you're safe from lawsuits. Saying, "It's just our opinion" isn't enough when millions of people are watching and companies are listening. And let's be real. Once you accuse someone of being a threat to public safety or spreading lies on a major network, you better back it up with more than just feelings. Joe's not playing games. His lawsuit isn't about revenge. It's about protecting his name, his income, and his future. In this business, once your reputation takes a hit, it's hard to recover. Brands start pulling away, fans get confused, and everything you've built starts to shake.
Is that show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in. You know, and they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her. And, you know, they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's a bizarre show.
Rogan is making it clear if you're going to come for him, you better come correct. The reaction from The View? Confusion, shock, maybe even a little panic. Joy looked stunned. Sunny tried to talk like a lawyer. And Whoopi, well, she did what she always does. Shrugged and said it's just their opinion, like that's going to hold up in court. But this isn't just a debate over free speech, this is about responsibility. When you speak to millions of people, your words matter. And if you twist the truth for the sake of ratings or applause, you might find yourself in a courtroom explaining every last sentence.
People want us divided, and they aren't just here in this country. They're foreign adversaries who are infiltrating our social media because it is prudent for us to stay that way. But so when you see something that really pisses you off, you should triple check that one.
With bad information that's going out there.
Well, in defense, there are some really
But
good
it's
news.
possible that Donald Trump did roam the earth when Jennifer was here.
There are some really good news kind of influencer types, and I think it's great that they're getting information about global and current events in front of younger people who maybe don't tune into traditional media. But to Sarah's point, there has to be some fact checking and actually verification of the things that are shared, because I spend a lot of time on Instagram Reels and I'm served up things that I get outraged about, and then I realize, oh, that's not even.
Joe's fighting back the only way he knows how, through the mic on the biggest podcast on earth. He broke down their nonsense line by line, made jokes, and stayed calm while pointing out every time they got it wrong. He didn't scream. He didn't insult. He just showed receipts. This isn't just about Joe and The View anymore. It's a bigger conversation about how media works, how easy it is to mix facts with fiction, and how fast a careless comment can turn into a legal nightmare. And if you think Joe's going to back down, think again. He's been underestimated before. But now, with millions of dollars on the line and the whole world watching, he's ready to fight back, with facts, not feelings. Whose side are you on?
Do you see what Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have to see it, because it's so
On TV,
crazy.
she said
on television.
You know, just let's look at a scenario where the Supreme Court says, yes, he has all those rights. He is immune from everything.
Yeah.
You know what Joe Biden could do since he is presently president?
What?
He could throw every Republican in jail.
Joe, who's tired of being the target, or The View, who thought no one would ever call them out. When this all broke out, fans went wild. Reddit lit up with endless threads, some so long they looked like legal papers. YouTube comments turned into full-blown debates, with users citing facts better than some news outlets. Over on Twitter, it was chaos. People split into teams like it was a digital battlefield. Rogan's fans came out swinging, armed with memes like weapons. Meanwhile, Supporters of The View scrambled, unsure how to defend what had been said or how to unsee the mess unfolding before them. But this isn't just Joe Rogan clashing with daytime TV hosts. It's bigger than that. This is about holding the media accountable. For years, shows like The View have gotten away with skimming the surface of real topics, taking jabs at public figures while hiding behind the safety net of light talk show entertainment. They've tossed out bold claims, made jokes at people's expense, and played judge and jury. But as soon as someone pushes back, suddenly it's just coffee table talk, harmless, casual, not to be taken seriously. The problem is it does cause harm when real names and reputations are dragged through the mud. That "we're just hosts having fun" excuse falls apart quickly when the backlash hits.
I mean, I'm not saying that Joe
And
Rogan
now,
should
with
be
Joe
removed
Rogan-
from Spotify. He's got 11 million listeners.
then
He's got
what are you
$100
saying?
million, contract as of 2020. But I do think as the podcast platform, you have to have some sort of guidelines. How about a disclaimer on his podcast that says,
That's fine.
this is misinformation.
Filing a $100 million lawsuit, things just got real. This isn't just payback, it's a wake-up call. That old way of speaking recklessly on air and expecting no consequences? It might be coming to an end. You can't just toss out messy claims about people with huge followings and expect them to stay silent. Especially not someone like Rogan, whose podcast pulls more listeners than most television networks combined. One of the hosts even said, "Joe Rogan is a horror. I'm not saying he should be kicked off Spotify, but maybe his podcast should come with a disclaimer saying this is misinformation." That kind of vague suggestion is part of what started this whole mess. And let's not forget, The View has had its share of head-scratching moments. This is the same show where the hosts once debated if the Earth might be flat.
Fans,
Seriously.
the real fans of The View that are like, "Oh, these ladies are on point." Most of those people can't leave the house. Like, they're probably immobile.
Right. Because their mom's taking their kids to school, and that's yeah.
It's a very strange show, but it's fun to watch. It's just fun to watch them.
It's good entertainment.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Well, they're just, it's interesting because I think Sunny is very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
I think the other ones, there's
It's
a couple of
place
the other
where
ones I
brunch-style
don't have naming
conversations
names.
suddenly
or just
slide into rewriting history, and nobody seems to bat an eye. But now they're surprised that someone is finally calling them out, and not just online, but legally. Meanwhile, Rogan is over on his podcast, completely relaxed. He's sipping on his mushroom tea, calm as ever, and taking apart their arguments one by one. He doesn't need to raise his voice or get angry. He just makes his point clearly and confidently, like someone experienced in taking down opponents.
Joe
And that
Rogan,
calm, collected
how many
approach,
times more
it's
intelligent
what really
do you think
seems to
Joe
throw the
Rogan
View
is
hosts
than
off
Joey
balance.
Behar?
They thought they were standing on solid ground, pushing a narrative that would win them praise. But suddenly the ground shifted. A legal tidal wave hit, and the show that was trying to score social points found itself drowning in legal trouble. They weren't just trading opinions anymore. They were up against someone who literally trains for fights, and now the ring was a courtroom. Fans at home were glued to the screen, not to pick sides, but just to see what would happen next. Even those who usually enjoy watching The View had to admit, this time the blowback was huge. And the silence that followed the lawsuit announcement? It was deafening. Joy Behar, one of the most outspoken hosts, suddenly had nothing to say. The zingers stopped. The usual laughs vanished. It was like someone had hit the mute button. ABC, the network behind the show, quickly did what big media companies always do when panic sets in. They brought in the lawyers. Disney, which owns